Hey everybody, I'm Jason Yoder. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to learn how to deal with lens flare, both in pre and post-production.
I can be with you wherever, stay at home or in a foreign land. I can stay like this forever, 'cause I got the world in my hand.
Lens flare is something that most people try to avoid. Some people use it for creative purposes, but take a look at this image. Now, I took this in my episode where we basically did an Arizona safari. We finally found the donkeys that live out in the desert. But when I tried to shoot a sunset, you can see I got a lot of lens flare. So let's talk a little bit about how lens flare is created. It is actually created through the reflections and all the elements inside of your lens. So when it comes to avoiding lens flare pre-production, you don't shoot at the sun. But here's the problem. How do you take an amazing sunrise or sunset if your camera's not pointed at the sun? So is this something we have to deal with? Well, for me, and I imagine most photographers, protect the front element of their camera with one of these. This UV filter, perfectly clear, actually protects my front element so I do not get scratches. And every once in a while I do have to replace these because they do get scratched, but this is a lot cheaper than replacing this. So one of the things I do if I am having lens flare issues is I will remove this element, this lens filter from my camera and just fully expose the front element of my camera. And of course, I put it right back on before I pack up my camera and put the lens cap on. So that's how one of the ways that we can deal with it in pre-production. But let's take a look at what we can do in post-production. Okay, so I've got an image up from the last episode. Now this is where I was hoping to shoot a monsoon, but there was no clouds in the sky. So I tried to shoot these saguaro cactuses on top of a mountain. And you can see I have got one big lens flare happening right here. So let's go ahead and put Lightroom into develop mode. We are going to be using the spot removal tool. And because there's some fuzziness here, I want to make sure that when I do the spot removal, it blends well. So I am going to do a little feathering on the spot removal tool. Let's see here, let's do a little bit more. Let's make it a tad bit bigger. There we go. All right, let's do this. Now I want to make sure that I get all this red area here. Otherwise, we're going to get some weird coloration. So make sure I cover all of that thoroughly. Because I'm using feathering and I went around the circle, make sure you get the center as well. All right, let's see it here. Now I'm going to move this over down here so we can match it up. If you look real carefully, if I keep it over here, you can kind of see the circle. I'm going to move it into the same gradient area and say done. And oh, we were close on that one. Take a look. We have a little half moon there. Didn't quite get enough of that red fringe cover. So we're going to go ahead and undo this. Let's try it again. I'm going to go a little farther to the right here to try and cover up that red area. There we go. All right. Now let's move this in again into the same gradient. Say done, and take a look at that. You can't even tell that there was a lens flare there. So that is how we can handle lens flare in Lightroom. Let's talk about in Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and undo what I've done here, and we're going to send this image over into Photoshop. So I'm going to go to Photo, Edit In, and I'm going to do Edit in Photoshop. So I'm here in Photoshop and I'm using the clone stamp tool, and what I've done is I've given it a 149 pixel size and 21% on the hardness. So let's go ahead, hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to choose what part of the image I want to use to clone. So I'm going to choose again down here in this gradient that's very close to what we're using. And now when I move it over, you can kind of see what it's going to look like in that circle. So I'm going to go ahead and start drawing over it. Now the problem is, as my clone area gets close to it, it's going to start displaying the original image. You'll see it here in just a second. There it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop and I'm going to start drawing it again. Oop, went a little too far there. I'm going to reset my clone right here and try and erase that. There we go. Now you can see right here it's kind of gone a little far up into there. So what right here it's dark and it gets a little too light. So what I'm going to do is I am going to turn my hardness all the way down, and I'm going to set this darker area as to where I want to take my clone from, and I'm going to erase a little bit of that. Try to blend it a little bit better. That's getting a little bit better. And let's reset this right here. There we go. Now, there we go. Got a much better blend. So there you go. That's how you can remove some lens flare using Photoshop. Now, if you wanted to send this back over into Lightroom, just simply click Ctrl W, select yes. The image goes back over into Lightroom, and you can continue editing from here. So that's how I deal with lens flare, both in pre and in post-production. So do me a favor, guys, if you like this video, click that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and remember, never stop exploring. I will see you all next time.